Y'all gonna be mad at me for saying this, but I'm sorry. But I can't watch DBZ and sub.
Shut your ass up. You sad black bitch.
It just doesn't sound natural. When I hear Goku go, Vegeta! Ah, me! He sounds like a grandma.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
It's time to debate the... I was gonna say it's time to debate the end. Maybe I shouldn't record today. It's time to end the debate once and for all. We got a big portion of DBZ fans who grew up on the original. We got a big portion of them that grew up on Kai. The reason I'm making this video is because I've had this debate in my head several times, and I feel like maybe some of y'all have too. And it's definitely something worth having a discussion over, and I found the perfect video to do that. This video is called, Was Dragon Ball Z Kai Better Than Dragon Ball Z by Big Toon? We're gonna watch this together and we're gonna break down all the facts. So without further ado, y'all, which one did you grow up with? Which one did you prefer? Let me know in the comments now.
Let's try to take our nostalgia glasses off for this one.
Let's jump right into it.
In music, it's a special occasion when the remix is better than the original. Oftentimes, it is hard to replicate whatever magic made.
Oh yes, the ongoing debate between original and remaster slash remake slash revamp slash whatever alteration of the original one, where most people just tend to love the original one because it's what they know.
Dragon Ball Z is, in my opinion, not the best, but the greatest and most impactful anime of all time. So is it even realistic?
I can agree with
that the remix
impactful
could be better than the original? Well, I think so. I think a pretty compelling argument can be made, and that's what I'll try to do in this video. Dragon Ball Z Kai first aired in 2009, and for me as a kid watching it on Nicktoons,
I remember those days.
It was a dream come true. I personally believe that it was produced to attract a younger audience, and that it would be part of the plan.
Y'all hear that Kai music in the back?
The production team has said that Kai was made to be more faithful to the manga, but to me, that's a load of BS. It was simply made to attract a larger audience, and that was okay for me. And I think that the most noticeable difference between the two is the visuals. Now, one of the things most fans point
for better
out,
or
speaking
for worse,
of the negatives of Dragon Ball Z Kai is the censorship. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the way they altered blood on characters, but you gotta understand, in America, Kai was on Nicktoons, a channel geared towards children anywhere between ages 6 and 12, so the censorship of blood makes sense. You can still watch Dragon Ball Z Kai in its entirety without the censorship of blood. And the second part of the visuals that I like to highlight is the color palette, which I
was about to say, look at the difference between these two.
Darker and less washed out in comparison to the original, which I like. But in the moments where Kai would redraw or reanimate a scene, it looked terrible.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed those.
Belong to the same production company. But like I said earlier, for the most part, I lean more towards Kai's visuals than Z, because although there are times where the redraws are awful, it is not something that happens very frequently. Now that was the
redraws are just like this,
but I think they did better in the audio department as well. But the music is always a controversial topic. Kenji Yamamoto is
we talking about the music.
Responsible for over 15.
Who's gonna mention Bruce?
When you watch Dragon Ball Z Kai and you've seen the original, it's very clear that Yamamoto chose to go in a very different direction than Shinsuke Kikuchi. Yamamoto's soundtrack still suited the series, but there was one problem. In 2011, Yamamoto was fired by Toei for plagiarism in his work. And it wasn't just a little either. Much of his work in Kai was plagiarized, along with his video game soundtracks, which most fans consider to be legendary. So excluding the Tenkaichi series, any HD remake of a Dragon Ball game would have to have a new soundtrack, which sucks. And although I don't condone plagiarism, especially when it comes to art, this soundtrack was pretty good. Now I know some of you may be thinking, what about Bruce Falconer? I may have an unpopular opinion, but I'm not the biggest fan of his score for Dragon Ball Z. There are maybe 5 to 7 of his tracks that I love, but everything
Gohan's anger, I know y'all love that. The Cell theme,
I never get that feeling with Kai. Tracks always seem perfectly placed up until the Buu saga. I think I should also mention that Dragon Soul is the best opening for any iteration of Dragon Ball Z, and one of the best for any anime I've ever seen. Another big difference between the two is the dialogue, and that stands out from the moment Dragon Ball Z Kai starts.
Dialogue is so much better on Kai. Every
single line in the show doesn't hold the most weight, but
it's so in character.
The dialogue in Kai makes more sense and is much more faithful to the source material, which is the manga.
Exactly.
The biggest example is Goku's I am speech against Frieza. In Z, Goku claims to be the hope of the universe, like he's a hero, which if you know his character,
Protector of the
Goku
infinite?
says, I am the warrior of
You mean
legend with
innocent?
pure heart. The voice acting is also a lot better in Kai because there were a number of characters voiced by the same people that worked on Dragon Ball Z.
Pause right quick. That's something that a lot of people disagree over, surprisingly. I think I came across Dragon Ball Z Kai first, so maybe it's different for me. But when I went back and watched Z and I heard Vegeta's voice, I thought it sounded so bad. The way Christopher Sabat, I'm sorry if I say his name wrong, the way he played Vegeta's voice in Kai, I felt fit him perfectly. So when I heard Vegeta's voice in Z, it felt like a big step down. It wasn't unwatchable, but it was a really tough pill to swallow.
In 2009, they'd had more experience and overall led to a better dialogue. And the last big difference between Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Z Kai is the pacing.
Yes. Remember the plot holes. Remember the bad pacing.
There weren't that many. Whoa. Pause. There was no bad pacing in Dragon Ball Z, in my opinion. In my opinion, the pacing for DBZ is what got me into the show in the first place. Nah, man.
Pacing can be one of the biggest issues for a story, and unfortunately, anime adaptations of popular manga series have had that problem in the past. And part of that is because of how
I used to think DBZ had good
there are
pacing.
many anime that are more enjoyable than
But
many
I didn't
cartoons
realize
I
that
grew
I
up
was
with,
talking
but
about
it's hard
Kai.
to get people to watch a show that's 200 episodes long. I personally don't have a problem with it, but I definitely see how it can be an extremely high barrier for entry. And so recently, many popular anime series are released in 12 episode seasons because it's more digestible for a larger audience. I'm not the biggest fan of it.
It makes the
but
series
it
shorter though.
Dragon Ball Z Kai was one of the first really big anime series to take pacing to a whole new level. Dragon Ball Z through Cell's Defeat is 194 episodes. That's longer than Hunter x Hunter, Yu Yu Hakusho, My Hero Academia, Inuyasha, 6 parts of JoJo. I think you get the point.
Dang.
Dragon Ball Z Kai through Cell's Defeat is literally half of that with 98 episodes. Kai cut out all the filler and removed or shortened unnecessarily long scenes where characters were charging or screaming. Dragon Ball Z is iconic for those types of scenes, but I do think it was a good idea to reduce the time they took up. Now, Final Chapters is the Buu saga for Dragon Ball Z Kai, and I don't like it nearly as much as the original Kai. The color palette is still different from the original Z, but I don't like it nearly as much as the first run of Kai.
I won't lie, the Z
Final
one looks
Chapters
better
was
there.
Yes, Final Chapters was shorter than the original Buu saga, but there are still moments where the series seems very slow, and I never thought that Kai had those moments. I guess the one positive about Final Chapters is that those really bad redraws aren't frequent, but I guess that's how you know Kai did his job in bringing a younger audience into the fan base. So when it
That's
was
what
time
I
to
think.
release new movies and a new anime series,
All
there
the
will be
super
more than
fans
just a
probably grew
nostalgic
up on
fan who
Kai.
will complain about how it isn't as good as the old days. And even though it is not as good
But
as
I went
Dragon Ball Z,
backwards
there are little kids out
into
there who
Z.
believe that Dragon Ball Super is the best Dragon Ball series out there. Seeing Goku achieve Ultra Instinct is their version of Goku becoming a Super Saiyan. And I think that transition is something Kai is responsible for. So
Yeah.
when it comes to choosing which is better between Kai and Z, I think it all comes down to
Well,
what you were exposed
Pause
to.
again. Here's my problem with that. The thing is, yeah, while it might seem like that to the new generation, I could kind of see the comparison there where their version of Ultra Instinct is our version of Super Saiyan. But the problem with that is Goku already had established transformations, right? So I guess for me, it kills the value when Goku now has like 90 different transformations, because it's like, what's the point of any of the rest? It kills the value when it's just the norm now, which was one thing I didn't really like about the Buu saga, because Goten just instantly had it and so did Trunks. You know, around the Namek saga and the Android and Cell saga even, Super Saiyan still felt like an accomplishment. And I feel like when they got rid of that, that's when things kind of started to dwindle for me from there on out.
I only saw clips of Z up until 2009, never full episodes, and that was enough to make me fall in love with the series. But Kai was my first chance to watch 10 episodes of Dragon Ball Z consecutively. And I prefer watching less episodes, even though I don't have an issue with 300 episodes of Dragon Ball Z either. I mean, I've watched all of One Piece. That's enough proof that I can get
Oh,
just
God.
about anything. But that's not.
He's a
saying
One
that
Piece
prefer
fan.
One Piece was shorter, so I do prefer Dragon Ball Z Kai over Dragon Ball Z. But I'm sure that if you grew up with Dragon
I think
Ball
I
Z,
do too.
hearing Kikuchi's or Falconer's music, you probably prefer the original over Kai. But hey, this is my channel, and that's my thoughts on it. but I do want to hear your thoughts as well. Which version
I can
of
agree with
Dragon Ball
most
Z do you
things.
think is better? And let me know why down in the comments.
And that's it. As he said, it's really about what you grew up on, what gravitates more towards you, what feels more natural to your ears, I guess. I'ma be real. Listen to Vegeta on Z versus Z Kai.
Like I said, glasses off.
You really think Z's better? He sounds like he's trying too hard. Nappa, why do I sound like this? It just, no. I wasn't crazy about it. Let me know what you guys prefer, Dragon Ball Z or Z Kai. Also, it's hard to pick between the music. I do prefer the music on Z, but Z Kai has some bangers. Go ahead and sound off in that comment section. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe. My name is Dre, and this was Dragon Ball Z versus Kai, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Peace.